All right, so I wanted to get on here and talk about the last couple days here. I didn't get a chance to post on Thursday, and then Friday I had planned on doing a recap on both days, and um, just didn't have it in me to post a video on Friday. So um, that is because on Friday I blew up my account. So it took me exactly 1 week to blow up my funded account and lose $4,500. It was a really rough day. I really felt like I was coming into this thing prepared. I was ready to go. Um, and I it just didn't go well at all, like at all. So out of 5 days, I had two winning days. One was one was about $500. One was about $800. And then I had some monumentally bad days. I had a 2,200 loss day. I had a 1,300 loss day, and then on Friday I just kind of just I had about $600 left, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it in the NAS and see what happens. And I guess at that point I was kind of like, I don't want to come back on Monday and feel the defeat on Monday. I would rather feel it on Friday, be able to spend the weekend trying to figure out like what I'm going to do to fix this, right? So one of the things about this YouTube channel that I wanted to start is I wanted to show what it's really like to be a trader, and how we go into a challenge and we feel like we're prepared, we feel like everything's going to work out well and we're going to make some money this time, and we feel really really good about it and confident we just got funded, like, and then you start to trade and you're funded, and you start to see, okay, I made a little mistake there and that cost me a little bit of money, and I made a little bit of mistake there, that cost me some money, but that's okay, we're gonna make mistakes and yada yada yada. But I had to stop and say to myself, like, listen, did you really lose this challenge because you don't have enough funding, or is it because you suck? Is it because your plan's no good? These are serious questions that you have to ask yourself, because what happens a lot of times is we say, well, that didn't work. Let me see what else I can find. And then we start looking for new ideas, rather than trying to make tweaks and trying to figure out what exactly is wrong. So I had that moment on Friday where I was like, you know what, I gotta just blow this up and start over again. I know adding is the answer. Maybe I need a new entry. Maybe I need to work on my exits and that sort of thing. But I wanted to at least give it a fair shot to really say, like, what exactly was wrong with that plan, because it really had some impressive days. It did some really cool things. I know that overall I had to make 9,500 to get funded, and then because I went over on 2 days, the 4,500, I made more than 4,500 on 2 different days, so I had to make more than $9,000. And just to be clear, I went from up 4,500 down to like about $1,000 away from losing the account, and then worked my way back up. Like, so there's wild swings in this, and so I'm like, okay, if I had more capital, I would have made $10,000 in those like 2 to 3 weeks, and then I would be pulled back about $4,000 because I made another 500. So, anyways, so I'd be about $4,000 back, but I would still be, if I had a $4,500 account, I'd still be up $4,000. So I would have taken a $4,500 account, and I would have $8,000 right now. And instead, I have a defunded account. And so it's hard to really look at it that way. Like, should I should I figure out a way to get back into the market with a $5,000 account and see if I can pull it off to hit one of those big ones, because that's really all my strategy takes, is one big one, and then I have some extra capital that I can start working with. Um, Now, this isn't like a gambling idea. It's that I just need more capital for this plan to work properly. So the problem is, though, is that I can't. It feels like I can't just do it this way and then just hope I hit a big one once I'm funded. And so anyway, so I did some research this morning, and it's not a crazy big research or anything like that, but I wanted to at least kind of look at it to say, like, hey, did you um, did you really screw up because your plan sucks, or was it because of the funding issue? And that's an important question, because if it's a funding issue, that doesn't mean I have to really change a whole lot. It just means that I have to just try to get there to get some extra cash so that I can start to build up that funding. Now you may say, like, oh well, then just enter with less contracts, add slower, that sort of thing. But all this stuff throws it off. If I only get in with two contracts and I add one, that's going to jump up my break even line drastically. It's going to make a very big difference, and it's going to be a small increase in profits. So it really hurts to go from two to three. Um, that's a big problem. Now going from five to one or going from 5 to 6, that's different because you've moved this much and you've made this much. So when you add, it's not as devastating to your break even line. So I still want to be able to add more and that sort of thing. One of the other issues is that I started trading with other ones like the Dow and the Russell and stuff like that. And I don't feel like I've had great success on those, and I've gotten into those with less capital and stuff like that. So on the ones that I have been successful on those, I haven't made as much because I'm getting with less capital or less capital. So therefore, if I get in with $300 and I make it to $1,500, that's a really big trade, but that's very different than getting in on the NAS with $600 and getting to $5,000. It's a very big difference. So there's lots of little things like that that I'm trying to figure out. Um, so one thing that I went and looked at is I said, okay, one problem might be is that I'm getting into any trend that's continuing. So like if I see a trend that's formed and it's got 3 or 4 legs on it, I'm then trying to buy that pullback. And that right there may be adding to my losses. That may be making a very big difference on my risk on my accuracy. So I wanted to go back and look through like what have I said? I need an ABC on the 5 minute with volume. So an ABCV on the 5 minute, and then I can trade the next leg. Nothing else. Don't look at the fourth leg. Don't look at the fifth leg. We want that third leg, right? So it's like 1, 2, 3, and then on the fourth leg, the pullback. That's when I can try to get in. So I went through and just looked at just the NAS, and I didn't do like a huge test, like I said. I ended up going all the way back to January 27th. 58 trades is what it would have been. So out of the 58 trades, 55% of them were at least a 1R. So if I got in and my stop loss was 150, my target would be 150. And this is approximate. It's not exact or anything like that. I didn't get down to the 15-second look at my exact entry and all that stuff. So it's a loose look at it, just to be clear. But it came out to about 55%. I was at 65% through towards about right here. I think this right here. So no, I think even then I was still above that. But anyways, you can see that this was a very bad one, or not that one. That's for the big wins. There was a point though that it like dropped off a cliff. Oh, it's right here. There we go. So this is my 1-to-1 area that went downhill before February 6th. I was 1-to-1. I was at like 65% accuracy on this. So that's a pretty good ratio for what I'm trying to do. That's a very good ratio for what I'm trying to do. Um, so that dropped us down a lot. We kind of went through some tough times, but then you can see we had a very good time as well right here, where it goes off on a tear and like it seems to be, perfect. But that's why we need that capital, right? So that we can go through the ups and downs, but I can still catch those big ones when they come and not be afraid that I'm going to blow my account. Um, so thinking in that, over here I did big breaks that are like 2 to 3R or more. I didn't specify if it's like one of those monsters that runs all day. I didn't specify that. Just if it's like 2R, 3R, then I'm going to call it a big break. But like 1.5R, I wouldn't have listed it as a big break. So anyway, so about 55% accuracy if I only take the fourth leg, the pullback after the first ABC. Um, and then I looked at big breaks as well. And so what we have here is that I got funded on what day was it? I think it was the 16th was the first. Yeah, it would have been the 16th. So on the 16th was the day that I got funded. So when we look at this, you can see like there was 3 good ones in here that were all in the NAS. Now I probably wouldn't have taken those because I would have went with a different pair, or I'm sorry, a different instrument. Um, I probably wouldn't have taken those on here because it's just so expensive to trade the NAS that it's like it's hard to get in on those. Um, but anyways, so there's only 3 this week that I could have gotten while I was funded. Now here's the important part: is look at the streak right here. There's no big ones here on the last 3 days that helped me blow the account. So it's a bit telling. Like when you look at how that is, about 25% of my trades resulted in a big trade. So here I only have 3 out of 17, which I didn't actually do the math on that. Let's just see 3 divided by 17. It puts me down to about 17% on here. So overall, I'm about 25%. Here, I'm only 17% on the week that I was funded. So you can see it's a pretty good drop off right there. The other part to that too is that look at the 1Rs though, pretty stinking decent. Like if we look at that, there's 17 on there, 17 trades. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 were losses, so we had 11 wins out of 17. That would have went to 1 to 1. So 11 divided by ours. Yes, 11 divided by 17. So that puts us at about 65% of the time I made it to 1R. That also means that those 35%, some of those are going to get to half R, right? So like it may even look better than what I'm showing here. That like there's a problem with how I'm going about my entries to where I can't lose these trades. These trades may generate a small loss, like $100 or something like that, but I can't get into a trade, move 1R on it. Now this is 1R of like 150 points. I mean this is still a large move. Don't misunderstand that. It's not like I'm getting in and saying 1 to 1 R is 5 points or something like that. These are still very big moves. Um, so when we think about that, it's like, man, I should be walking with money. So there's a couple different angles you can go. Do I work on my exits sooner so that I miss the big, huge moves that are few and far in between? Do I miss those big, huge moves and maybe exit with that 15-second idea to where I add contracts based on the 15-second and move up my stop loss based on that? Because you you start doing it that way, and I could probably be pulling out good chunks on these 1 to 1s. I could be making decent, but if I do that, I'm going to miss the huge ones. The account doublers is what I call them, because it literally is like I've hit trades when I was trying to get funded. I hit, I believe there was 3 in all that would have been over $10,000 trades, and so it's like no matter what I do, if I can hit some of those, like in 3 weeks, if I hit 3 trades that would have made $10,000, like it's good night nurse. Like that's how you make a lot of fucking money really quick. That's doubling your $25,000 account, and then you still have some wins in there too that weren't account doublers. So so it's hard to decide which way to go. But one thing that I've decided to do was I want to try to focus on the Nas again, because I feel like when I started getting into the other pairs, I was trying to decide which one to go with, and then I'd pick the wrong one, and then I would see the Nas go, and I'm sitting there, and there's so much more FOMO involved because I'm not doing a good job at picking the other one. So I think I need a lot more time to get better at picking which one I should go with. Um, and I know that when I worked on just the Nas, I felt comfortable. I felt like I understood what the Nas was doing, and I felt comfortable like following my plan with the Nas. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with the Nas this time, and if it costs me $700 to get into a trade, then I put $700 into it. If it's $700 for 2 contracts, then it's $700 for 2 contracts. Um, and as much as that's going to hurt my overall trade performance, I think it may also help it a lot because, like I said, the Nas is it seems to be the one that hits the trends the hardest and seems to go the furthest and seems to just work out the best. So I'm going to push that narrative and just try it out and just go back to the Nas, but then make a couple tweaks. One tweak is I can only take trades on recent ABC, so it has to be the ABC, and then I take the next pullback. So just to put that into perspective, just to make sure um, that I'm putting this on video so I can try to hold myself accountable for it later. A, B, C. I need volume on the up leg and volume on the up leg. I prefer it not to be here, but I'll still take it. Right here, this is my entry. Okay, that's the only entry I'm allowed. I'm not allowed. Um, if this guy comes down, one of the things that I started doing was including long V's. So if this guy comes down, I count that as a break, and then I try to sell it right here. I can't do that anymore. I don't have any data suggesting that that actually works well for me. And a lot of times those are just long pullbacks on like the 15, and then it ends up doing one of these jobs and does that slow pullback or that slow death idea. I've been seeing that. It feels like I've been seeing that a lot, to where I'm sitting in a trade for a long time because I got a 150 point stop loss or whatever, and it just takes forever for it to come back and get me. And I could be in that trade if I stuck with the plan of like this is an ABC, even if it's a long V, I can still try to get in because that guy did something. This guy hasn't done anything yet. He didn't do an ABC yet. So, so I could. So that's number one is I only want this area right here, this pullback right here. If this trade, or if this goes like this and then pulls back right here, nope, can't do it. Cannot take those. Okay. So it's only this one right here that I can take. If I miss that, I wait until I see the pullback or the reversal or whatever. If this reverses like this, don't be afraid. I'm now a seller. Okay, that's another part of this, is that I have to stop being afraid to take the trades on the ABC. There was one on the S&P in particular that would have completely changed everything about my day if I would have focused on that. Um, that day was a big loss day that would have been a very good day if I would have focused on that ABC with volume that the S&P created. So that's one tweak that I'm going to make for sure. Is that another tweak I'm thinking about making? I don't know that I'm ready to make that decision. Is to start trading more on the 15 second. So like if I get up and I got a good trade going like that, and we break up, I might start being a little bit more open to the idea of taking the 15 second. So I'm adding like this rather than like this. So on the 5 minute, that's more what it looks like. On the 15 second, I can add like this. But then also, my stop losses are pulling up so that it looks like this, and my stop losses are following it. So I'm like here, I'm here, rather than my stop loss still being all the way down here to where if this comes back and crashes, I lose that whole amount. That 15 second way can really produce some good wins. Now again, if I do that, I miss out on those huge wins, those account doublers. But I'm going to be a little bit more open to it, I think, especially when I see the trend not looking great, like I see loss of momentum, things like that I'm going to start playing with, to where I might I'm just going to test it out a little bit more often is the point. So those are the things that I'm going to look at changing. And then also I decided to go with Top Step in this situation. Um, so when I left Top Step, one, I was a little bit frustrated with the issues. I've had a lot of issues with Trade I think there's been 4 different days that I wasn't able to take trades that I tried to take. Sometimes that benefited me, but I'm not trying to win because I got benefited from the system shutting down and I couldn't trade. That's I don't want that. I want to be able to trade without issues is what I want. If that makes me money, then I'm not trading. I'm just getting lucky, and I don't want to go that route. So so I went back to Top Step to try that. I really like the Top Step X platform. One thing I don't like about it is how hard it is to switch which one you're trading. With Top Step, when you trade the main chart, it doesn't change the entry chart or the entry field. So then you have to change the chart and then change the entry, and it's a big pain in the ass to change them both, and you forget, and then you end up taking trades, and it just screws you up. It messes up your rhythm. You're you get frustrated and then you start doing stupid things because of it. So that's part of the reason I decided to go with Top Step. The other part is that they had a sale going on that ended yesterday, so I was able to get a challenge for $112, I think it was. Um, so that's about $80 cheaper than Lucid. However, if I get funded, then I have to pay a $150 fee to get funded, so that'll put me up about $60 more than it would have been through Lucid. Um, but also because I am testing things right now, I would rather go with the cheaper entry fee and then pay the extra fee if I get funded. Because I'm more likely to blow up the account because I'm testing out a little bit more. Um, so those are kind of the things that I really want to look at. I want to be careful with the 15 second idea because I don't want to start missing out on the big trades because I'm trying out that idea. Um, but the biggest thing is going back to just the NAS, accepting that if it cost me $700, that's what it cost me, and that's okay. But sticking with that, I need it to move up 50% before I start adding. And same idea, I'm going to keep moving at my stop losses, that sort of thing. And then also relying on my prediction a little bit more. My prediction idea seems to work very well. Um, and it bit me on Friday that I didn't follow it. I ended up losing a trade that I should have still been in. But because I didn't follow that, I had a smaller stop loss than required for it, and it came back and got me, and then took off again. And that one would have changed my day by quite a bit as well. It could have been a positive day if I would have listened to my prediction. So, anyways, I want to get on here and just kind of just be honest about everything and just show what it's like to be a trader and how hard it is when you think that you're gonna walk in there and you're gonna make all this money and stuff like that, and then you just shit the bed. Um, it's hard, man. But we have to remember that it doesn't mean that we have to blow up our plan. It just means that we have to make minor tweaks and just be honest with what went wrong, right? And I can see what went wrong, but I can also see the potential of this plan if I had the right capital. So I have to figure out that balance, until I get funded, and then I can go balls to the wall with this strategy and um, really turn it up, But we'll see. So I'm gonna make these little tweaks and see how that goes. And I wish I could show you my stats from Lucid, but all these funding companies, they just erase everything the second you fail at the end of the day, and it sucks that I can't go back and look at it. But um, it's what it is. So, anyways, I hope you guys had a better week than I did. I hope you're making some money, and let's just keep getting better together. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.